Mr. Bolton, in the first flash report, you identify the Intelligence and Interagency Coordination Division, the IICD responsibilities, and you list the 6 of them: coordinating with the intelligence law enforcement community, identifying potential threats from domestic and foreign entities and groups, advising the Capitol Police Board regarding emerging threats to the Capitol, analyzing and disseminating reports on incidents that may impact the Capitol, serving as the principal point of contact for all intelligence and threat-related matters impacting the security of the U.S. Congress, and lastly, maintaining the United States Capitol Police intelligence priority framework and identifying gaps. It seems that the IICD did not meet these responsibilities, I think we can all agree, leading up to and on January 6th. Can you explain where IICD struggled on or before January 6th and what reforms need to take place so they can carry out their responsibilities?
Thank you, sir. One of the things that, again, people may be tired of referencing my previous employer, but when you generate these security assessments for that event, those are living documents. You need to, when you provide the leadership or the decision makers subsequent documents, you need to identify whether the information that you provided them in the first place has been resolved, or still pending, or what is the status of it, and then bring into any additional new information. So these shouldn't be standalone. That's the thing we saw. There was either miscommunication or conflict and not understanding. So the decision makers are seeing different documents and different outcomes or different assessments, and not knowing if the first assessment, those issues have been either resolved or still pending or are still open. And it doesn't provide the leadership to be able to disseminate and also to take in what they are reading without having that previous knowledge of previous assessments. So there needs to be that flow. Consistency is when you have conflicting intelligence reports. One report is saying improbable for we're going to have violence, but another one's talking, they're coming after the Capitol, what have you. Where's the consistency? You're getting mixed messages. We need to be consistent in producing what we know to the decision makers in a consistent manner.
In your reports, you also talk about making previous recommendations that were not followed through with U.S. Capitol Police. What's your degree of confidence that even if we do come up with new framework, new recommendations, how do we ensure that it's institutionalized in their body and that recommendations are followed and adhered to?
Well, that's part and parcel of what we do. We do the follow-up reviews to ensure that the department is following and keeping the recommendations that they've adopted, that they're still current. So that would be part and parcel of not just intelligence division, but throughout.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but in your flash report, you mentioned some specific cases from the past where you did issue findings, you were given information, they were cleared, and then you came back, just like you're talking about, which is great, to come back and to do a review, and then you found there were more deficiencies. So I guess what I'm asking is, at what period do you say there's systemic issues here that they aren't following through if they're just showing you enough to get by, so to say, in a report card versus actually institutionalizing the changes?
If it's a serious enough issue, and if it was a continuing problem, then that would be incumbent upon me to notify the committees of a serious problem. Within the IG community, we have something that's called a 7-day letter, which compels the department to answer certain questions, and that letter is also sent to the committees of jurisdiction, so they are made aware of any if something like that occurred, that we would be able to elevate it to the committees.
What's your threshold to send a 7-day letter? At what point in which the back and forth would you be frustrated to send a letter?
It's a very high threshold. In my career as in the Inspector General community, I have only seen one 7-day letter issued to the committees, and that was from when I was Department of Treasury, Office of Inspector General. But it would have to be a very serious, if it's something I couldn't work out with the department or with the board, and felt that it was such a serious thing that I'd have to be no choice but to. That's kind of like a last effort thing that you do have to do to issue that.
Understood. Thank you so much. Yield back, Madam Chair.
Gentlelady, Congresswoman